Hello again, everybody. This is Joe Larson broadcasting live from InRavio Studio C in New York. Welcome to the 505 on Racing Show. I hope everybody had a good weekend. I hope you got to see some good racing wherever you went, whether you went to your local racetrack, to wherever you may go. Maybe you stayed home, watched racing on TV. I hope you had a good time doing it. It's all good. It's all good. I had the opportunity to see some racing this weekend. I had a good time with some good friends, and it's always good to go racing and go to a place where they treat you like gold. And I say this a million times, but you all know who I'm talking about. It's just I had electronic conversation back with a certain PR director talking about some of the things that go on at some of the racetracks, and some soul searching was done by that individual, and some truth, may it be told, came out. So that's always a good thing. You know, sometimes you have to you gotta face the facts. Certain things are going on in the racing community. Sometimes the economy gets you messed up. Sometimes it's a simple thing like a bad call by an official that keeps the driver from coming back. And sometimes it's just, you know, it's just tough luck, and you don't have the money to keep putting it back together. So, with that being said, real quick, this past weekend, the Indy cars, or the Honda Indy Toronto event, was held up in Canada, and Joseph Newgarden was the winner with Lucia Filippi second, Helio Castroneves third, Will Power was fourth, and Sebastian Bourdais was fifth, rounding out the top five. Now I'll tell you what, Indy racing, I remember growing up and watching Indy racing on TV. Basically, there was only a handful of tracks that they competed at that I remember, because you watched it on ABC's Wide World of Sports back then. And it was the Indy 500. You might see the Indy cars from Michigan or Brooklyn, Michigan, where they used to race at, and places like that. But now it seems like they're just all over the place, and you know, up in Canada and places around the world. And Indy car racing is not, in my opinion, is not what it once was. And some of the names, they're not household names anymore. It's not, you know, A.J. Foyt, Mario Andretti, Al Unser, those guys, you know, long gone, you know, from the racing circuits. And now it's become an international event. Whereas, you know, NASCAR is just, it's homegrown. And, you know, there's no secret I'm a NASCAR guy, and I like talking NASCAR. And I'm going to continue to talk NASCAR with you guys and gals as long as they'll let me. But anyway, that's where it's at. The Camping World Truck Series was at the Gateway Motorsports Park, with Cole Custer taking on the win there, Spencer Gallagher second, Johnny Sauter third, John Hunter Nemechek fourth, Cameron Hawley was fifth, Timothy Peters sixth, Ben Kennedy was seventh, Tyler Reddick was eighth, Daniel Hemrick was ninth, and Austin Tirak was rounding out the top 10. The truck's next event will be at Iowa, a beautiful, beautiful place. I had the opportunity to work a couple of events there. Beautiful event in the middle of nowhere. You drive through miles and miles of cornfield to get to, but I guess 50 years from now, when there's all these housing developments around it, they're going to try to squeeze the track out like they do everywhere else, where tracks were built in the middle of nowhere. And then people started moving in and around, and all of a sudden the track had to go, you know, like Ice Speedway. Even you know, the local track on Long Island here, I can remember when I was a UPS driver back in the 80s, back in 83, I was a UPS driver. And they gave me this route to do, Route 58 Riverhead. And I knew the racetrack was there. And I remember coming off the Long Island Expressway, because it ended there, and there was nothing there. I took that Route 58 all the way until it became Route 25 again in the Southern Road Doctor's Path, and then one side down the other. Then I went into Polish Town, delivered all my stuff, and there was nothing there. You go down there now, it's a 4-lane highway, you know, 2 lanes in each direction with a divider. It's incredible, the growth. Now, and the people keep squeezing. They keep squeezing these racetracks out. So, and I guess it does, 22 figure eight. The Expressway still ends there. It wasn't supposed to. It was supposed to keep going, but it just didn't do that. But that's just where it's at. Hearing some rumors there in the NASCAR world here about rules. The rules package, the 2016 rules package may come earlier. In fact, as early as next month for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series event at Kansas. NASCAR Executive VP and Chief Racing Development Officer Steve O'Donnell was recorded as saying that on NASCAR.com and SiriusXM that NASCAR faces some serious challenges moving forward. And this past weekend at Michigan kind of woke them up, and they have some weather issues. And what do you do, and how do you keep it going? And I want to talk about that a little bit. I've been on every side of the fence in racing. Crew member, crew chief, spotter, driver, owner, official at a weekly track, official in every series NASCAR has. And rain, it's not the worst in rain. It's a promoter's nightmare. When you look at, from the promoter's point of view, what do? Weather's coming, you know it's coming. Do you pull the plug? And then what happens if you pull the plug and when the weather doesn't come your way? Or do you go for it, you prepare for it, and you open the gates and you take everybody's money and you start preparing food and drink and beverages and everything, and all your people in, and it doesn't happen because of weather. And it's a tough thing. And as Steve O'Donnell said, sometimes when you look at these weather situations, sometimes it's not good weather. There's heavy rains, lightning, thunder, downpours. And when there's thunder and lightning coming into a racetrack, and I saw this at Pocono a couple years back, you could see out in the distance, there was a black curtain coming at you. And you're looking, and that's rain headed your way. And then you see the lightning, and you're like, what do we do? And then they're saying evacuate grandstands. And I'm saying, I'm Long Island guy. You have thunder and lightning on Island. You see the flash. And a few seconds later, sometimes a lot of seconds later, you hear the bang. Well, it was flash, bang, boom, all at the same time that they broke. And the lightning bolts were hitting the ground, hitting the grandstands, metal grandstands. The people had to go. But it's one of those things. Now, think about this. You're a promoter. And I'm going to try to get you folks, at least for this segment, to think like a business person. And not that you don't, but from a racing business person's point of view, you got weather coming. And sometimes they'll pull the plug based on a forecast, which I said earlier, which they don't really want to do. But sometimes they're pulling the plug on that, not because they know the rain is coming. They pull the plug because the people sitting home listening to weather reports are saying, well, I don't want to go out there and pay $30 to get rained out. Why do that? And that's how they think. Now, in some other cases, some tracks, they do everything possible to get the show in and dry the track and get it safe and sound for the competitors. And you know what? I don't know if that's the answer either. Yeah, you want to applaud them. And Blinger just said, well, I was there that day, and that weather was bad. And one of the things that I said when I was there that day, the racetrack kept announcing, go, get out, take cover, run, go to your cars. But it was just one of those things. But anyway, the promoter's going to say, I'm not going to have any fans in the stands. We're not going to make any money today. We gotta, let's not do this. And then, the next day, I call them armchair quarterbacks like in football on Monday. Wow, they could have raced. Yeah, they could have, but there would have been nobody to see it. And promoters, they're there to make money, and they want to make money, and you're not going to make money if the grandstands are empty. Yeah, in most cases, the back gate, the pit gate, and that covers the cost for the event. But they're not there to cover costs as a promoter. They're there to make money. And that's something that people just don't understand. A lot of people say, oh, you know what, this is what we should do, and they should make it $10,000 to win, and for the feature division, or $5,000 to win for the second, and even the last place guy should cover his tire bill. As a businessman, I got to say no. And I've been very fortunate. I never raced really out of my pocket, partially because I was lucky, and partially because I was in the right place at the right time. And again, my background was business development, business development and marketing, so I knew how to promote a package. And we're going to talk later on today about that, about sponsorships, maximizing your sponsorship dollars, not only as a competitor, but as a business who's looking to advertise, because that's why you're doing this. And I'm not going to take any thunder away from that segment, but that's why a business sponsors, to help grow their business. Are there some businesses out there, that I got some extra cash, and I like Harry. Let me give Harry some money. Yeah, there are. But the long and the short of it, they're there to make money, and that's what they want to do. But going back into the rules, NASCAR needs to take a look, especially in these big events that are TV, and big sponsorships, and all kinds of stuff going on. They don't want to pull that plug. They want to try to get the show in, and the cup race, the sprint cup race was shortened by rain, and even as a competitor, as a crew chief, as a driver, your strategy changes when rain is coming. Now you're not just riding around and racing the last 20 laps. You're racing every lap from halfway on, because at any moment could be called. Yeah, they're going to maybe red flag it and try to get going again. But think about drying a 2-mile track, a 2.5-mile track, a mile track, 1.5 miles. Think about drying a track of that size. And I've seen this. I've been at Stafford Motor Speedway in Connecticut, where we've spent an hour or two drying the track. We get the cars out on track again. We get a little hot laps in before we go full speed, and it comes again, the rain. And again, at what cost as a promoter? Do you get the jet dryers out if you have them? It's kind of expensive to run jet fuel. Or NASCAR has that new thing with the compressed air blowing the water off the racetrack, and I've seen it work, and it works pretty doggone good. But still, it's time. It's time consuming. It comes to a point where you go, we got to come back tomorrow or next week, or whatever the case is. And that's what the top series do. They'll come back tomorrow. They'll come back Monday. They'll race Monday morning, Monday afternoon. I was in Martinsville a few years back, many years ago, and rained out. Sunday got rained out. I have a flight home at like 11 in the morning, and they're going to run the race at 10. And there's no way I could stay for it and change my flights. It's just one of those things. And again, from a promoter's point of view, sometimes you can't pull the plug, because you got sponsors you're answering to. Technically you're answering to your fans too, but you're answering to the people who are paying the bills, the people who are promoting this event, who are promoting their product, and they want to promote their product to a full grandstand, and they want to promote their product on the TV and get as much coverage as they can. And you guys are cruel up there in the chat room. It's just one of those things, and understand that. Just understand that as a promoter, you're there to make money. You're not there for charity. You're not there to just put on a show because you like racing. You'll say, we do this for the love of the sport. If you talk to any promoter who says, I'm only here for the love of the sport, they're full of it, right? Because they would do everything as a break-even point, up the purses, so not ridiculous amounts, but at the end of a season, when you add up all the money that's paid out, I'm pretty sure that if you took out all the payouts, the 3, 4, 5 divisions, whatever races at your weekly track, and at the end of the year, everybody added up what they won in payout money and point fund money if they get any from their local racetrack, and then you add up what the promoters made all year long, I'm thinking it's 10-1. And if somebody's a promoter out there and disagrees with me, let me know. Educate me. Because I'm thinking that's just where it's at. And I don't begrudge promoters for making money. That's why they're in that business. But, some of these rainouts in your local racetracks are not necessary. And sometimes these rainouts in the top series, let's just go home and come back tomorrow. Tickets are already paid for. They're not giving their money back. The people have to go home because they work or have to catch flights. It doesn't matter, but they need to, it's especially in the top series. The schedule is just so tight that there is no room to move that race somewhere else. And I can remember a New Hampshire race running at I believe it was like the Friday before or after Thanksgiving, or the Sunday before that. It was a weird day, and it was around Thanksgiving, and it was cold. And I don't think the only people in the stands were people that worked there. But the racetrack had their money. And understand that NASCAR and the tracks are two separate entities. Right? NASCAR brings the show there. It's like when the circus goes to the Nassau Coliseum in Long Island. You know, the circus is putting on the show, is bringing the show, and the Nassau Coliseum is just the venue for it. Two separate entities. When we come back, we're going to talk about Orange County Fair Speedway and some of the stuff that went on there this past weekend. Bob Garbarino from NASCAR Wheel and Modified Toy is not too happy about some things we're going to talk about. And we have some interview from when we were at the Himes Museum Weekend of Nostalgia back in August. And I believe it's the D'Angelo family, the family of modified champion Al D'Angelo, when we come back.
Hey, this is Chris Les Jake, and if InRavio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
Hey, I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
And I'm Merch Weller. We're some of the proto men. If we see you without this bracelet, you're punching the But if you have this bracelet from InRavio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on, or else.
For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered.
Hey, we're back. We're back. We're going to go to that interview, and it was, again, at the Marty Himes Museum of Racing Nostalgia back last year at the reunion. It was a great day. We spoke to a lot of drivers. We have a lot of footage in the can, so to speak, and we're going to start feeding them onto the show live when we can. So we got one coming right now. Up right now, it's the D'Angelo family of the racing legend Al D'Angelo. Here I am still at the Himes Museum of Nostalgia and just walking around. There's got to be 200 people outside. Next to me, I have the son of legendary driver Al D'Angelo Jr., and third generation, Dennis. Welcome.
Good. Pleased to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, what brings you to this reunion? When you woke up this morning, what made you decide to come here?
It's a family-oriented thing, and it's a tremendous addition to old-time auto racing that's really gone forever. This museum, Marty and everybody else, the things they have here, it's just remarkable. My dad's old car is here, several trophies and pictures.
Now, what's it like when you walk into this museum and right outside this door is your dad's car, one of your dad's cars? What's that feel like?
It's very immense pride. As a matter of fact, we walked in today and Marty was trying to get it started. And I walked in and he's like, Al, I can't get the car started. I'm like, try kicking the tire. He kicked the tire, he reached in, boom, it came to life.
Amazing.
Like, something going on here.
A little divine intervention.
Yeah,
What do you
a little
think?
divine intervention.
What about you? Now, you're third generation.
Yeah, I'm Hank's son. Hank was
Okay.
was Al's first son.
Uh-huh.
I remember the Ice Speedway. I went there 2 or 3 years before it was closed.
Yeah.
I remember my father and grandfather shared a ride at the same time. It was the Zero. It was the Gorman Brothers Zero.
Mm-hmm.
We had that car in our garage. It was stored there. I used to play in it as a kid. It was very exciting for me.
Memories.
Memories, yeah.
That's stuff that
Yep.
you never forget.
Gonna forget. Yeah.
Never forget that.
You know, doing those interviews that day, and some of these guys I knew, some of them I didn't know, and you get choked up, you get emotional. You know, you listen to the stories, and I was there from 10 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock at night, and you sit down and you talk the old days, and you hear a story over here, and you're like, I was there that night. I remember that. It was like the chemicals in your brain just kick in and bring everything that's buried in the back, bring us forward. You know, you're like, wow, I was there that night, and talking out, and I don't remember watching Al D'Angelo race, but I know I must have. I know I must have. I went to my first race in 1965 at the Freeport Municipal Stadium, and I wasn't a weekly attendee at the races. My mom and dad, they hated racing. To them, racing was a waste of time and gas and energy and all that kind of good stuff. But you know, you look back, and I look back and say, you know, when I was racing and the people I was involved with, we were making tomorrow's memories, and it's all good. And I'm looking forward. Next week, I think the Ronnie Langdon from Long Island. Ronnie Langdon, a car builder here on Long Island. A very innovative individual, and we'll have him on next week. So, you know, tell your friends who aren't here tonight, they might want to log into that one, because that was a good interview. We had a good time doing that one. Anyway, speaking of old time stuff, the Garden State Classic will be at the Wall Speedway down in New Jersey this Saturday, June 20th. I'm supposedly making my modified or vintage modified debut, so it should be interesting. You know, you're going on a big track like that for the first time and haven't driven a modified, like, wow, a lot of years. But we'll have some fun with that, I'm sure. So, you know, that's one of the places you might want to put on your list to come next Saturday night. Wall Speedway down in New Jersey. Let's see, Orange County, what did happen there this weekend? All right, the Orange County Fair Speedway. They had the big block mods. Tony Meyer was the winner. The small block mods, Tim Hindley. And the sportsman was Matt Jack. And the street stock was Emerson Carson Sr. Tell you what, if you're into dirt track racing, and I know sometimes it could be a little dusty and dirty, and you know, don't wear a white shirt, wear something dark, but it's a different type of racing. If you're used to this asphalt stuff, dirt track racing is totally different. And the management and the staff and the officials at Orange County Fair Speedway are bar none. And I've been to a lot of racetracks across this continent, Mexico, Canada, and the United States. And those people there barely know me, and they treat me like I've been going there for forever. You know, I can't even go to the bar without somebody offer me a drink, and go to the concession stand, and here you go. And a great place, and you know, it's only 2 hours with no traffic, not even, hour and 45. But it's good. And 22 figure eight, you're cracking me up. So the Garden State Classic, Wall Speedway, June 20th. It's all good. It's all good. Oh, yes. Bob Garbarino, legendary modified car owner, has been in this business since the early 60s. Was one of the original teams that came on to the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Back when it was just called the Modified Tour. Back in the day, back in '85. Bob Garbarino, owner of the Mystic Missile number 4, driven by Todd Szegedy, is frustrated. Here's a man, and I'll tell you, and I knew this for a fact. Here's a man that 10 years ago, when I hopped onto the scene as race director, it was 12 years ago, he was the man you went to, and you got his opinion. And 99 times out of 100, when you sat back and listened, the man was usually right. Well, I'm telling you, the man's right about this one too, I believe. And I'm a little bit removed from the modified series this season, but I was around when the spec motor thing started coming to fruition. It was 1, then it was 2, and the spec motors weren't doing that good, and some of the teams that had them, they weren't really the top competitive teams. So what NASCAR needed to do is they needed to get credibility. They needed to get in some winning teams, and that started to happen. They started putting these motors in these front runners, the cars, and Bob is not happy. Bob just feels there's no longer a parity. Bob Garbarino, he's like I said, owner of the Mystic Missile number 4, and he says that since the spec motors inception came out, NASCAR started pushing the use of the engine. Sometimes they got a break in the gear. They got a little, these guys that are running will say, we need a little more gear, because there's a gear rule when you go to these tour races. It's in the entry blank. I believe at Thompson it's like a 462 to 473. Don't quote me on it. I just seem to remember those numbers. Maybe that was for Stafford. I don't need to know what the gear ratios are. I don't put them together. I don't build them. I don't work on them anymore. But as a driver, a potential driver, you need to know what your gear is. And when you're going halfway down the straight, when you're out of gear, you need some more. And the spec motor guys are saying that we need more gear. We need more torque coming off the corners. It's not working on the smaller tracks. It's not working on the less than half miles. It's working on the miles pretty doggone good. We're a little close on the half miles. So NASCAR, of course, made some concessions for these guys. And, up until this past weekend, all 5 Whelen modified events had been won in cars using a spec motor. Lower cost was the selling point. Lower cost. When you look at that, the lower cost, and talking to engine builders, and I've spoken to engine builders, and I'm not going to say who I've spoken to, it really doesn't matter. But they were saying it's lower cost maybe initially, but how many rebuilds can you get out of a spec motor? They're telling me none. They're telling me when it's done, it's done. Okay? The internals parts, the block, it's done. Whereas a built motor, as they're calling them now, you can get a freshen up or 2 out of them. So Garbarino is saying he uses Hutter race engines, and he uses them, and he has used them always, and he pays about $40,000 for his motor. And NASCAR, and I was around for those discussions, and NASCAR wanted to lower the cost and help these teams, and the spec motor came out. And the spec motor, first came out, it was around, I don't know, it was around $20,000, $25,000. Well, now there's two versions. There's one for $24,000, where NASCAR gives you all the parts, and trust me, they're coded and barcoded and marked and blueprints and all kinds of stuff, so you can't swap anything out. You could have it assembled for $29 and change, or you could put it together yourself for $24 and change. And when they check those motors, they go over with a scanner and they go, boop, they hit the barcode. Yep, that's our part. Boop, that's our part. Every single part in there has some kind of barcode. Robert Yates engines, they do the building of these things, and they came out for economical reasons. But what's happening now? A good number of the teams are using the spec motor. the guys and gals using the built motors from their own engine builders, Hutter, Bob Bruno, Billy the Kid, Big Sal, those guys aren't going to stand a chance. They're being squeezed out. You know, yeah, you can go with one of those guys. We'll let you do it. But now when they're going to check your motor, they're going to check your motor. They're going to pull it apart. And in some cases, that motor might even be sent down to the R&D center, like it was after Thompson. Some motors were taken down to the R&D center, 2 spec motors and 1 built. And they're going to put them on the dyno, and they're going to check the horsepower. And you know what? On the dyno, they're going to be close. Now, I'm not an engine builder, but I'm an intelligent person. They're going to be close on the dyno, but where they're not close, and Ted Christopher, who's won in just about everything he's driven, other than Sprint Cup Series, and he's driven in there too, and he got the opportunity, or had the opportunity, to drive 2 different cars one night, and I believe it was in practice, one with a built motor, one with a spec motor, and top running pieces of equipment, not just some guy, hey, take my car out, but he went out and said, wow, that spec motor is quick. And this is what NASCAR is going to do. NASCAR controls. NASCAR, remember, guys and gals, it's their sandbox and their sand. And they bring their sandbox and their sand to places that want them there. So what do they want? They want you to go to them and buy this motor. They want this spec motor. They wouldn't put all this time and money into an R&D of it if they didn't want you to use it. And eventually down the road, and mark my words, and I'm usually right on stuff like this, eventually you want to go modified tour racing or touring racing, K&M Pro Series or any of those series, eventually NASCAR is going to be in the race car building business. Mark my words, it's going to happen. You know, I'm just hoping that when it does happen, it doesn't push a lot of people out of the sport, and doesn't push a lot of people who make a lot of money in this sport building these cars and building these motors, put them out of business as well. Because these individuals, you know, they were loyal to the sport, they were loyal to the teams, and they were loyal to NASCAR. So just be loyal. And I'm saying that, I implore you, NASCAR, be loyal to the people who are loyal to you. That's all I'm saying on this subject. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will be talking about sponsorship again, yes, again, when we come back.
What's up, guys? We're Scare No Fair, and we're here with Enravio. If they catch you at a show with one of these bracelets, you will win $100.
That's a lot of money.
So get a bracelet.
Do whatever it takes to get that. Hit them up online.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Enravio can get your message out there. And we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Enravio.com.
Hey, I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
And I'm Mark Welly. We're some of the proto men. If we see you without this bracelet, you're punching the But if you have this bracelet from Enravio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on, or else.
For over 60 years, Hansen Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hansen Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansenCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hansen Carpet has got you covered.
welcome back. Yeah, just real brief, I kind of left this out. It was kind of important to me with the Bob Garbarino story. Bob goes to win and has championships and a boatload of wins and enough hardware to sink a ship. And he was quoted as saying, I don't go there to run second. I go there to win. And I have one of the best drivers in the business, and if he can't win with my equipment, then why am I bothering? Because and I quote, there are some teams there that go because they just want to have a good time and they like to race. He goes, and I applaud them. They're doing what they enjoy doing. I never went to a racetrack not to win. That came from Bob Garbarino. And it'd be sad if a competitor like him, a car owner like Bob, were to walk away from the series that he's been so good to for over 30 years and walk away from modifieds where he's been involved with for over 50 years. The knowledge that man has and his crew, a mixture of young and old, have is just incredible. And it will be a sad day to see when that happens. But anyway, sponsorship. I know I talk about this, and what got me on this sponsorship thing is just, I think it was like maybe today, no, over the weekend I think it was. I saw on social media a driver went on his social media page and started saying, I want to race this car at this track and I need sponsorship. Inbox me if you're interested. Who would sponsor that guy? Now, I'm not going to say who it is, but I'm thinking what that individual should have said maybe is, I have a car and I'm going to race at XYZ Speedway on such and such a date. And what I'd like to do is offer you an opportunity to advertise your business on my race car to help you grow your business. Not, I need a sponsor so I can go racing. You might want to go find a rich uncle. You have a better shot. So it's funny how things happen, and I believe things always happen for a reason. So I'm thumbing through Newsday, Long Island's only paper, basically. And in the business section, I see this title. It says, Maximizing Your Sponsorship Dollars, and a little article in the small business section by Jamie Herzlich. And she goes on to say some of the things that I've been saying. And and she kind of starts off saying that on a small business budget, there's only so many events and organizations a company can sponsor. You want to maximize the dollars. It's not like back in the day when people had what I call stupid money. Guys in the break room says, my buddy, he races at this local racetrack. Maybe we give him $500, every once in a while to help him out. He'll put our logo on his race car, and, it's all good. We need the write-off anyway. And they would do that. But not today. See, money's tight, And as Jamie goes on to say, you really have to know why you're making the investment. And that it was also echoed by Bryce Townsend, CEO of ESP Brands, a Manhattan Sports and Entertainment Partnership consulting company. And you have to know what you're trying to get. What are you trying to get as a company sponsor? And if you have a race car, you might want to listen here. And one of the things I had learned over the years is you need to talk to the man. And I think I said this last week. The man is the guy with the money, the answer, and the need. Okay, you got to know what the man is. You got to know what their need is. If their need is to sell more widgets, you have to come up with a program that's going to help them do that. Okay, you need to do that. They're not just going to say, here you go, I mean, some people do that. They're like 22 figures. You take the money as long as you can paint the car with their, your colors. I had a guy like that. He wanted half. Oh, can I take half if I, don't do it your way, do it my way? You don't do those things. And you got to, what market are you looking for? As a company, when they come in and they have their board meetings and they're sitting around the table and they're going to advertise. Now, understand when budgets get cut, the first thing that gets cut is advertising dollars. I disagree with that, but You know, you can't cut your insurance, you can't cut your payroll, you can't cut your electricity. You know, your taxes aren't getting cut, so where can you cut? Yeah, you can give out smaller raises and maybe less bonuses at year end, but you know what? Let's cut out this. We don't need to have this ad in this newspaper. And what's this race car? What's mine? What are we getting for that? Key phrase there. What are we getting from that? If you're not getting anything from it, why do it? So when you propose your sponsorship, you got to go in and say, this is what I could do for you. I call it the WIFM. What's in it for me? What I could do for you as a company on my race team. You know, and because what these companies do, and if you're going to a large company, look, if you're going to the local candy store, the local gas station, or your friend has an internet-based company and he's doing some stuff out of his basement or his garage, you know, yeah, will he throw you some money? Yeah, I'm sure they will if you're friendly enough to them. But, you know, I've seen people give away quarter panels for a $100 bill. The decal costs $75. So what'd you get in a 15-week season or a 20-week season? $5 a week from the guy? That's not even worth it. It's not even worth it. It's not. But anyway, these companies, the larger companies, they have a manager that handles that. They have somebody in their firm in charge of managing the sponsorship program, you know? Because they're not just going to cut a check and walk away. I had the Big Brothers deal. Big brothers, big sisters. And it was a little this to this to this to make that happen. But there was still an individual who, when he wasn't at the track on Saturday night, was on the phone with me or somebody else Sunday morning. And it wasn't about results. It was, how did it go? Were we represented in a good fashion? Did the race team do what it was supposed to do based on our agreement? You know? You want to take your proposals, and I've seen hundreds of proposals, and I've been doing this thing for over 25 years, 26 years now. And I see people, and I read proposals, and I was going to bring some today, but I'm not sure where they are. They're in a bin, and I'm not sure what bin they're in. I was going to bring a proposal in, and I was going to, not say who it was from, and I'm going to tell you what was on this proposal. This proposal said, and I quote, because I remember it, it was etched into my brain, we're going to be able to, if you sponsor my race team, I am going to be able to buy beer for my crew because they deserve a cold beer at the end of the races. Do you think a company wants to see that? No. A company wants to see, let's say it's a beer company. The company wants to see, if you're on my race car, you're going to sell more beer. Not because I'm buying it for my crew, but because we're going to promote your product. You're going to promote your product, you know? They're going to manage. A good company is going to have somebody manage that proposal, and they're going to be in your face every week. Not necessarily about how'd you do, but how did you represent their company? When the races were over, were you at your car? Was your fire suit on, displaying their logo? Were you giving away their stuff? Were they getting a return on that sponsorship dollar? They're going to be managing that. Because anybody could get a sponsor one time. And I know a lot of guys at a lot of racetracks, every year they got a new guy. Yeah, I want to announce my new sponsor, Acme Corporation. Next year. Oh, I want to get my new, sponsor, XYZ company. What happened to Acme? Oh, they didn't come back. Why not? That's what you got to ask yourself. Why didn't they come back? Why didn't they come back? And companies, when they look at the sponsorship, and as I said here, in this instance here, the example they use, rather than give $25,000 for one golf event with an organization, probably split it amongst multiple golf events. And they're talking more about those kind of projects here in this article. And it's funny, when I sold sponsorship deals, I would say to them, I wouldn't say to them, I need $20,000, or let's say $2,000. I don't need, give me $2,000, this is what I'm going to do for your company. I would say, for $100 a week, my race team is going to do this for your company. and we're going to measure it this way. Who wouldn't go for $100 a week? You're going to get your $2,000 at the end of the year when you add it all up. And that also takes the heat off of the company who's putting up the money because, and I know this has happened, where you get your $2,500, $5,000 sponsorship package, and you blow up or crash the second or third week, and you don't have the money to put it all back together, and you don't show up anymore. Case in point, a driver at a local racetrack had the National Guard recruiting office from his neighborhood sponsoring cars. He sold them a good deal. I'll hand out stuff. We'll get guys to come down and join the service, join the military. It's a great career. And his car all lit it up, National Guard. And he had the recruiting office address. He was giving out stuff. So one day this contingent of military people come walking in, full dress uniform. They sign in, and into the pit area they go. And they're walking up and down, walking up and down, walking up and down. Finally, they said, "Where's car number such and such?" "Oh, geez, wow, we haven't seen him in 6 weeks." How apt is that company going to be to sponsor another race team down the road? I don't think. And it wasn't even a company, but these recruiters, they get paid based on how many people they bring in. So to them, it was a no-brainer. Hey, well, we get a couple of guys sign up, we're good. You can't do that. You can't do that. Companies want to do that. And the other thing you want to do is you want to give that company that's sponsoring your race car, whether it's a big sponsor or a little one, you want to give them reports. And you want to go to them with the report before they come to you. So Saturday night, you load up, you go home, and maybe while it's still fresh in your head and you don't sleep Sunday away, jot off a little email to the manager of that sponsorship program. Hey, tonight we started this, we finished this, and in the pit area we gave away 500 autographs on your car and blah, blah, blah. You want to do that. And don't be afraid to go promotion. And yes, 22 figure 8, you are right. Promote it. And the feedback is important. And that's my little talk for sponsorship again. Because when I saw that person post in the social media, I was like, come to me. I'm not going to go to them. Come to me. I'll tell you how to get a sponsor for that race. And you won't be racing out of your pocket either. We're going to have the Cup and the Xfinity results and the truck results when we come back.
For over 60 years, Hansen Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hansen Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansenCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hansen Carpet has got you covered.
Hey, this is Chris Less Jake, and if InRavio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
What's up, guys? We're Scano Fair, and we're here with InRavio. If they catch you at a show with one of these bracelets, you will win $100.
That's a lot of money.
So get a bracelet.
Do whatever it takes to get that. Hit them up online.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
Hey, we're back. I almost forgot the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour was at the Thompson Motorsports Park. Say that 3 times fast last Wednesday. Wow. Anyway, Doug Colby was the winner with Justin Bonsignor second, Todd Zegedy third, Keith Rocco fourth, Woody Pitkat finished fifth from the pole, Bobby Santos sixth, Ryan Preece seventh, Eric Goodale eighth, Timmy Solomino ninth, and Ted Christopher rounding out the top 10. The NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour's next event will be on Long Island, June 27th. And it should be for an interesting event. The NASCAR Whelen Southern Modified Tour does not return to action until July 4th at Caraway. All right. Xfinity. Xfinity was at Michigan this past Saturday, and Kyle Busch was the winner, followed by Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson third, Chris Bruscher fourth, Elliott Sadler was fifth, Kevin Harvick sixth, Joey Logano seventh, Eric Almirola eighth, Brian Scott was ninth, and Doug Hansen was 10th. Joe Logano had the pole for that event, and there's still some question about whether these guys should be running with the other series, the lower series, but I'm an old school guy. Whoever shows up and gets in the car should be able to take the green and go racing just like everybody else. And the fact that the NASCAR doesn't allow the Sprint Cup Series guys get points for the Xfinity or Camping World Truck Series, I don't know if I agree with that. I understand why, because the guys who support that, let's say the Xfinity or the Camping World Truck Series exclusively, feel that they're taking points away from them, and that's what everybody's racing for. Everybody's racing for the points for at the end of the year when they get their trophies. So anyway, the next event for the Xfinity Series will be at Chicagoland, and that's the next event. And see, in the Cup Series was at Michigan, and rain delayed. Many rain delays and rain shortened, but Kurt Busch was the winner with Dale Earnhardt Jr. second, Martin Truex was third, Matt Kenseth fourth, Joey Logano fifth, Brad Keselowski sixth, Jamie McMurray was seventh, Paul Menard was eighth, Trevor Bayne ninth, and Clint Boyer was 10th. Casey Kane had the pole for that event. He finished 15th. And rain. We talked about rain before. It's a tough decision to make. It's a very tough decision to make when it comes to that. Now the chase standings after 15 events. We have Jimmy Johnson. Now remember with the chase, if you have a win, you're automatically in. So Jimmy Johnson with 4 wins is atop the points with Kevin Harvick second. He's got 2 wins, as does Kurt Busch, who's third in points. Martin Truex Jr. is fourth with a win. Joey Logano fifth with a win. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Brad Keselowski, Matt Kenseth, then followed by Denny Hamlin, Carl Edwards in 10th. All have wins. And then just points-wise, without wins, Jamie McMurray, Casey Kane, Jeff Gordon 13th, Paul Menard 14th, Eric Almirola 15th, and Ryan Newman 16th. So again, you get a win in that series, you're locked into the chase. And I don't know, I kind of like that thought process. I don't know. But, you know, I know what they're trying to do, and I've said this a bunch of times. They're trying to create an interest and create an awareness for the last 10 races of the season. This way, nobody's really running away with it, and people aren't saying, oh, let's just see who finished second, because that's happened in the past. They don't want to see that. So what they've done is created this thing, and they keep tweaking it year to year, and I applaud NASCAR for doing that, because if it's not working just right in this case, they tweak it. And a lot of people might disagree with that, but they do that. They got to tweak this points thing, you know. And there's been different point systems over the years in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, as well as all the other series go down. Even like in a weekly racing series, in your feature division, your feature division maximum points is based on full fields of cars. So if 9 or 10 or 11 cars show up in the feature division, they're not getting, I believe it's 50 points. They're getting like half of that. And then if you run a twin feature, you're getting half of that. So I don't know what's going on, what the thought process was on doing that. Here's what the payoff is. If you win the race, it's 50 points. And I'm talking about the weekly series. Why they don't do that in the weekly series, and I understand there's some logistics to it, but this is what I see happening all across the country. You look at video of a race or a YouTube thing, or somebody posts something on some social media somewhere, where you go to that track's website and you'll see like 12 cars on the racetrack, taking the green. But when you read the finish, it's a full field. Are they putting names in at the end just to make it look like it's full? Some of these places don't even, you do starting park people. It's just people who weren't even there. I'm like, wow. And I've seen this happen, and more times than I'd want to say. And I've been at racetracks where I know I counted 14 cars on the racetrack, but when I got my racing paper the following week, there was a full field. Now, I know I don't see as good as I used to see, but I hear a lot better than I used to hear. And I only heard 14 cars on the racetrack. And in the final finish that was posted in the newspaper, it was 20. One case, it was 24. And I'm not picking on a local track that's near where I live. I'm talking about in other places. And part of that is to get those valuable points, top points. Because let's face it, when you're in the feature division and a set of tires cost you $800-900, and you're getting 1,000 to win or 1,200 to win or 1,400 or whatever you get to win, you're not making any money. And this is what I can't understand when I go to a dirt track, and a street stock is getting 500 to win, or they had this other thing. That just this past week at the Orange County Fair, the small block rookie modified class had a winner take all, 500 to win, 6-lap dash. And the company that was sponsoring, putting up the money, said, they also sponsored a car in the race, and that car won. And that driver got out of the car because my sponsor gives me enough, I'm giving this money to the second place guy. And my hat's off to that guy. And unfortunately, I don't have his name. And I didn't know I was going to go down this road. But anyway, we're going to wrap up. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to come watch the show. It's your show too, not just my show. I like chat and race with you guys and gals. And wherever you guys are going to go this weekend, please be safe, please be careful, enjoy it. If you had a good time, tell someone. If you had a bad time, tell the promoters. But let's not be trash talking racetracks on the internet. Anyway, good night, everybody. Tell somebody you love them, give them a hug. God bless you all, and we'll see you next week.
In